The gospel of costly grace has widespread social consequences in all areas of life. And this is true for those who manage at work. God says to managers or masters in Colossians 4, verse 1, "Masters, treat your bondservants justly and fairly, for you also have a master in heaven." And these words are very important because managers are uniquely tempted in at least two particular ways. First of all, managers are tempted to mistreat their workers for profit. And of course, workers are a way of maximizing efficiency and productivity in the workplace. And so managers are right to utilize employees for the good of the company and ultimately for the good of the families of those who work at the company and those who are beneficiaries of what is produced by the business. But it's possible to commodify workers, to treat them no more than as if they were machines or parts that could easily be dispensed with. Workplace regulations can prohibit things like child labor and starvation wages and unsafe working conditions, but they cannot create a love and respect for those who work for you. And so we need to be aware of that temptation as managers, first of all, that we mistreat workers for profit. A second temptation unique to managers is to become self-important. Managers have a master in heaven, but sometimes forget that. And that can lead, first of all, to pride. Give us a little bit of importance, a position, put people underneath us that look up to us, and we can easily assign ourselves more importance than we ought. We have to be careful of that as managers, pride. Another associated problem with self-importance as managers is worry. When managers forget that they have a master in heaven to care for them, they can easily become worried, wondering how they're going to provide not only for themselves, but also for all of those under their care. So we need to be mindful of these unique temptations of managers. And God addresses them in particular instructions in Colossians 4:1. He says, first of all, you must manage justly. That means you must use God's righteous standards in your business. There are going to be times when the principles of the kingdom collide with your pursuit of profits. But you need to do what is just as a manager. You must refuse to exploit your workers for the cause of gain. Remember, you also have a master in heaven. Second, you must manage fairly. That means that the people who work for you must believe that the arrangement is equitable. Of course, there will never be complete parity between those who manage and those whom they manage, but it must be a mutually beneficial arrangement. There must be fairness. The law of love, the royal law of love, that you must treat others as you would be treated, doesn't care if you're a manager or a worker. Fairness must reign. And that means you also must manage humanely. Let's learn to congratulate those who do a good job. And a paycheck is not congratulations. It is a debt that managers pay to those who have put in the work. Let's also learn to communicate with grace. Even in our corrections, let all of our corrections be seasoned with grace. And then listen. To promote the humanity of your workers, let them know that their opinions, their concerns are valuable and worthy of your hearing. And then encourage success and further training and mobility within the business that your people work for. Finally, God says, manage theologically. Again, believe that you have a master in heaven. That's why you're to treat your people with respect and care, with justness and fairness, because you know that God is watching over you. This is also where the grace for managers comes in. God forgives bad management. I think of the example of John Newton. John Newton literally commodified humans in his horrific work in the slave trade. He racked up more moral debt than he could ever repay in his work. And yet John Newton found forgiveness. He received the righteousness of Jesus Christ. He was able to sing of God's amazing grace, even for people who had previously totally mistreated people in his work. And so God forgives. God also cares for managers. Listen, when the Bible says, remember you also have a master in heaven, masters, that's part threat. Don't mistreat your workers, because God will care for those who are mistreated and bring to justice those who mistreat them. But it's also part promise. You as a manager need to know that God can provide for you. That just as your people are looking to you for help and for care, you aren't the top of the provision ladder. You also can look up and see a God who is gracious to provide in all of your worries and your anxiety and all of the troubles that your workers don't even know about. God promises to provide for his children, even in management.